Good afternoon. We would like to welcome everyone who is attending and watching this particular program, and we would like to support the national literature as in our r- event is called Made the Modern Buryat Poets. We have Anna Banaeva, the Buryat poetess and translator from Mongol and Buryat languages, and Elbeg Zandraev is also a Buryat poet and also a soloist of a Buryat theater. We will also talk about the current political situation in Buryatia. We'll also talk about the poem writing situation in Buryatia, how the country, this republic is living. And please tell us about yourself and what you do as a poetess. Good afternoon. I also wanted to tell you a little bit about the Buryat literature. You can also tell more about the literature. It is some really interesting to listen what you have. I started writing pretty late when I was 50 plus years old. I also started doing the translation being pretty old. Now I'm 60 years old, and I also published my book where I have translations from Buryat and from Russian. I also really fluent my first language and the Russian language, and I also really fluent in Mongol because this language is pretty close to the Buryat language. That's why I can also translate from Mongol, Buryat, and Russian language. And this is the book I want to show you. It is called The Ash of Grass. The Ash of Grass. On this side, it is in Russian, and on this side, we have the same poems in Buryat. And here it is written also The Ash of Grass in Buryat. What else can I tell you in this case? Could you also probably tell us what do you have for your poem? What are actually, and it is also important actually how the ethnic elements, how the Buryat national stories are actually connected to you in your poems. This is something what I can really tell you. For example, once upon a time, there was a case when my friend, a teacher of mathematics, she brought a book, a textbook for mathematicians because she is a teacher of mathematics. And I was really impressed by different stories there. And this is something what I really wrote about. My, and I also wrote the poems about it, which is actually the Sad Blue Bull, which this is the title. I wouldn't actually say I also read a lot of literature. I also read I also read a lot of Chinese poem writers and also read a lot here. And has also a certain impact. It also has an impact on my poem writing. Or for example, I can also watch a movie. It can also have certain impact on me. And this is actually kind of a motivation for me to write poems. And I could you also tell us you started writing being not in a young age, probably being 50 plus. What is actually the first reason for you to write your first poem? How did you get it right that you had to write poems? I was 50 and I retired. And occasionally I was in Mongolia. And because I actually represent the Horin Buryats and this dialect of Buryat is not really close flew to Mongol, and had a significant problem. I wasn't even able to understand the Mongol language. I also was not able to watch TV and understand what's actually said there. It was a kind of a vacuum in my head. I also didn't have enough opportunities to communicate. No, I apologize. It was not in Mongolia. It For the first time it was when I was actually walking in Shivo Istoks. This is a really nice city, and the streets used to be dark at that time, and actually it was pretty slippery on the road, and I actually fell down on this slippery road, and I looked into the sky, and I really liked it. I decided to keep lying for a while, and I was so happy that I really fell down on the snow, because this particular situation helped me out to look at the sky and enjoy it. And also wrote over to my friends, and the friends said, "Hey, you wrote us in rhythms in a poem. You can write poems." And the same was also in Mongolia, because I spent 6 months in Mongolia. I managed to learn Mongol and also started understanding the Mongol language. And once upon a time, I was invited to one natural resort. It is a kind of natural monument, and also so very interesting uh, flowers for me. We call them edelweiss. They are known as edelweiss in Europe, and I also saw these edelweiss flowers for the first time, and they were in different colors. They were yellow, red, and it was really so fantastic. And a Mongolian lady who was actually accompanying me said that every single Mongolian had to eat at least once a year this edelweiss without, but eat as an animal without tearing it with your hand. And I asked actually what was the reason for eating this edelweiss, and the answer was in order actually to feel better inside. So I actually started eating with my lips this edelweiss flower. And I actually started feeling myself as a sheep, because usually the sheep stay on their four legs and eat the grass or flowers in this way. And Kari Pelenov, who is also a poet, he looked at what I wrote. He called it poems without a rhyme. And now I can really understand. I can also write these white poems. So I started publishing my poems in social media. I also got some likes. People started waiting for my poems. People started also asking me to translate these poems into Russian. And also people liked also my translation of Rahmet Shrimartan, that he was this was a Tatar man who used to write in Buryat. And also uh, Edzin Bathoy, a Mongol poet, writer. I also used to translate his poems, and that's how actually I came to poem writing and to the translations. Anna, could you also tell us your poems you write in Russian and Buryat? Could you also tell us, besides a certain language specificity, but do you have anything else in addition to the Buryat ethnos, or do you consider yourself more as a poem, and it is not an important moment for you? Probably this moment is not really so important for me. However, I'm a Buryat in my mind. That's there is something what actually differs those who write in Russian and who write in a freestyle. And I think there is a certain difference here. For example, I can also read aloud something for you. For example, this poem, which is actually is wrote based on a fairy tale, which is actually Sad Blue Bull. The ocean of night draws such a picture, and a sad bull goes ahead, and the birds count its steps, and the sad bull keeps walking, and this bull can really eat this, and this bird can really eat the bull, and then it can also eat, can sit on a goat, and there is an old man lying under the goat's head, which he had a certain shovel in his eyes left by the bull, and this shovel will be taken out by his sons, and it will certainly wake up a very tricky fox who used to escape uh, out of escape the rain in this particular dream. That was actually a poem based on the Buryat fairy tales. And here we also had a national component. Could you also read something aloud in Buryat? I really prefer to read probably the translation into Russian, or for example, as for the Buryat, I would like to read. Should I read it on my own? I really prefer to read as you want. You can also read your own poem or the poem of Rahmet Shahmaidanov. Oh, I can also read my own poem. Doesn't matter. This is the ash of grass, and I can also read the Buryat or the Russian translation.
Ансыл нігіті хылыхың шинненгі угнуудыя ханың онигланып. Сонхын баронте хуре абахы өгіші ырылдары. Хальчинды улелгет хуйты абашожыш, хуйты абавып. Хальчинды улелге вып, харин ямар хальчина шырунды шимне. Улелгі шоғыншы. Нам тұхы, ханаға забақы күнчі мұнауғы. Орол ориго хараха онталтайым. Гедірге ханыру харашы ойғыным, гынты зудындым харақтықы ғышшым. Гынты бей зудыну дұрышне шыңғықып, шынетірі қосырғын. Хизарну цо, кешкі өгінті, қайолыға салоқың наға зулғы зудың ноғоне шатығың уныхың мүті абат арилшығың шыне нігіті. Могу на русском теперь.
Now I can read it in Russian loud. The ash of grass, because I do have quite a bad light here because it's 6 p.m. now. Here I don't really see the ash of grass. Every time I get in the train, I can also remember your words. Don't never take a seat right to the window. In this case, you can get a coat out of the wind. I don't have a coat. The wind was really against you, and you got this cold. Nobody's gonna care about me. I'm just alone. I'm really sad. I tried towards the wall, and I would like to see you in this my dream. Probably you can also see me in your dream in the worlds where you decided to go to, and you did it in taking our young years as the ash of grass. This is the poem. Okay, Anna, thank you very much. And now we would like to come over to the next speaker. Elbeg, are you with us? Elbeg, are you with us? Elbeg, are you with us? I will call him. Can you hear me? I'm here. Okay. We can also hear you, bro. Not really good, but we can also hear you. That's okay. Oh, not really good. That's okay, normal. Elbeg, could you also tell us a little bit about yourself? What are you doing? What are you writing about? So you're welcome. First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me to this very interesting meeting. I started writing not so long ago. And I wouldn't also call it poems, something what I write. These are poems, but they are also different. These are really good poems. These poems are about our life and what is happening right now. And I'm really interested to what is here. And these poems can really help me when I write. Because when I write, it can really calm me down. That's why this poem writing is a very interesting thing I do. We can also compare it also with other form creative arts. And I think that's a really beautiful feeling of being in a poetry. Okay, can you also tell me if Anna is a representative of this quite a really solid Buryat poem writing, but you are pretty young man, but already had some awards, and some of your books were already published because I read about it. In 2019, I got my first book published. It was a collection book, thanks to the Ministry of Culture in Buryatia. And he actually approved my book to be published, and I really appreciate his approval in this case.
I write in the spoken Buryat language so that it is easily understood by the young people. Today, not all young people have a good command of the traditional Buryat language, but anyways, they're doing the best to speak it because they realize that their mother tongue does matter, especially today. Our young people can tell that they have to speak it, use it for day-to-day communication. Me personally, I take interest in writing in the language, not for their sake, but this is just a way for them to understand what I'm writing about. That is, you care about the fact that your readers, young people, should be able to understand what you mean. I want them to take interest. I want them to be increasingly engaged in my works so that they share my ideas, even more. I would like to find a way to maintain the interest by the young people. And it takes several approaches to keep this interest alive, to keep them focused at all times. It should be like an unsinkable man of war that goes to its goal no matter what. Thank you, Elbeg. That is indeed interesting. You work at a theater, is that correct? Answer: yes, I work at the Amar Sain theater as a vocalist, a soloist. I have a degree in music from the Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky School in Ulan-Ude. I specialize in vocal art. My voice type is baritone. So it's a musical, national theater, right? Correct. I sing the ethnic Buryat pieces by Buryat composers. They came up with brilliant songs. Back in the days, that was the 1970s, the 1980s. I really enjoy the beauty of these songs as I sing them, as I perform. I can really realize the depth. It's indeed a gold nugget, I should say. Yes, that's right. Elbeg, would you please read one of your poems to us? Indeed, I will. Am I supposed to translate? You can read the original. And if you have a translation in front of you, you can read it as well, or you can retell the meaning of it. It's up to you. It's up to you to decide. I'm going to read it with translation. This is about opportunities. What is an opportunity? What is an opportunity to help someone? This is about doing something good to a person. That's the idea. I'm going to read the Buryat text first.
Namdı argıwen. Ön argары tırkındı. Beşeğim şia to asım. Beşeğim şia argara toğulğıdım. Yamır yeki tuşuk bolunu geçip. Yamır yeki boyun bolunu geçip. Mengin zane toğulğıdın yamır yeki boyun bolunu geçip. Be bayırlanıp, iyima жаргылты ölürün kıyabıqıda. Жаргылты gır bul harqıda. Tırsakta uydunıp, жаргылгы хуğudeyi harqıda. Жи абугы хуğudeyi harqıda. Tırsakta orto асурул тайвынып. Юнды нөхідезім жарғылтеп. Бұшызым жарғыл. Хымбыда қылқы. Теоғыдо емі жарғыл зұрақ емді. Хымбыда қылқы дылқедері өлдігін ем болдық. Мандоды емін ұнудыр андалсыры байқыдым не. Ем құдылқы көй. Баян занда байшыл байқ. Беді жарғылты сақта байырлы қып денады қып. Хато ошондо дейин заха бодахып дем. Хамтин кусар бухы имын загдыха. Хамтин кусор бухы ошор шитхыгдыха. Хамтин кусын том бухы кусын. Так, теперь перевод.
Now I'm going to read the translation into Russian. Opportunity. I have an opportunity. Even though it's a small one, I will definitely help. And this help is great support. When you help millions of people, It's about virtues and makes me happy. When I feel happy, I'm in good health. I feel happy when I see a happy family. At the same time, I feel sad when I see unhappy children or when children don't have parents. At the same time, I pose the following question to myself: why are some people happy while others are not? And some people may say it's through their effort, and others say there are various situations taking place in the world. If we are to speak instead of taking action, it will remain the same. Nothing is going to change at all. In good times, we feel happiness. When the bad days and hard days come, we're trying to fix it. By joint effort, we are capable of anything. We can solve all the problems by joint effort, by being a close knit community. This is a strong force. That's it. Indeed, thank you. Thank you very much. Probably you would like to read another poem, another piece before we proceed with the discussion. Yes, let's do one more.
Муну бышаha глудр быша хзебда. Нахая андо бол хасагирха. Ийм бодвол явам шамшамда зала яшлах. Гынта ялхыш орынго бышы. Андо харгагар яманы бышы. Тиге дорто асыл табихыш. Эни минигу. Хыжы баян юмун намда байыр асырын. Ийм асыл табижы баяхыда байыры инды байгаш яha. Сычхылери андо тажалныш. Хан onun жарахыш, хан тамшын. Харин тырсакта наханенга сашынки харгайын зорахыда гынты тактышыш. Алы менгін бодылны шамда хатыхы. Харин орнер сахион ханы байгахыда. Хыдыши хату бэк. Үбдет кархыргыдыш. Хобилхы. Нахая андо, нахая орынго дурара зорахыса геру. Зора. Худлы. Если не завтра, то если не сегодня, то завтра.
If not today, then tomorrow. If not tomorrow, but then one day. There will come a time to change our lives. This thought, sooner or later, will strike you, will visit you as an important guest. You will realize that you're moving along the wrong path, and you will pose the following question to yourself: is it the right thing to do? What I'm doing right now, is it a pleasure for me at all? When you ask yourself such questions with your heart, you're absolutely in a different place. And you will be entirely happy when you feel at the right place. This is when you will develop. This is where you will attain success. And you will become a reliable friend for someone. But at the same time as you picture your future, you will abruptly come to a stop. Your remote thoughts will make a barrier to you. But these barriers exist only in your mind. No matter how numerous these barriers are, you will anyway find a way out. You can break all the imaginary barriers. You can picture your life the way you want it to be. If you don't make this step, you will regret not doing this for your entire life. Make a decision. Be decisive. Move on. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to address Anna and you, and let's proceed with a discussion. At first sight, it looks like in Buryatia, the situation is pretty good in terms of writing and poetry. If you use a search engine, if you type modern Buryat poets in the search engine bar, you will see several last names, 4 to 5 at least. This is what the search engine shows in the search results. You can tell that the literature and poetry life is going on. This is an outside look. when you look from the inside, what is your take on the poetry-related situation? How do you see it? I'd like to say that the Buryat poetry overall and the Buryat literature overall is moving along the two areas and two directions. There was Buryats who write in Russian, and the second one is those who write in their native Buryat language. This is how it goes. Of course, we do have problems. The problem is that those who write in Buryat, there are actually a few readers, but there are a few of them. But we have a language problem in general. It exists. Many people lost their native mother tongue. So it would be appropriate to write poems the young people will take interest in, because they would be easy to understand, because it would be the modern Buryat language. And by the way, it's spoken Buryat language. So in this, we avoid complex constructions and devices. It's so easy to understand. This is a way to make the Buryat poetry more popular with the Buryat people overall. Yes, Elbeg, what is your take on that topic? Today, there are young people who write in the Buryat language, which is very admirable. These are young people. I know already a few people, ladies and gentlemen. All of them are young people. They already express their thoughts and ideas on paper. I follow them with great interest. But if we think in a different way, like thinking irrationally, speaking of the good things, our mother tongue will always be alive and nothing bad will happen to it. That's my point. I'm sorry. I think at least through the merit of yours and through the merit of Anna Banaeva, the Buryat poetry is still alive and will be alive. My idea is that we've been thinking about the problems of our language quite a lot. We keep enumerating the cons, the issues, the problems. Probably instead of focusing on the disadvantages, we should rather focus on the fact that our language will stay alive. And that's a fact. And speaking of the problems and challenges, well, this is something we're sick and tired of. Everyone refers to this. We even have poetry on that. Instead, we should rather speak about the good things only. I will skip referring to the good things, the positive things, and that's my idea.
If you allow me, I will certainly make this kind of comment. Maybe you don't find, maybe not find it appropriate. As for you, Elvik, and I think the following thing about your poems. If we talk into account other people, especially people in the Caucasus, first of all, the Turk peoples like Bashkirs or Tatars, quite often we can hear in their poems about homeland, about the language, about the national identity. Do you also have it all that your poems are actually more a kind of something what you can kind of everyday life. You can also may think about it, why it is so. Oh, maybe I'm wrong, but I've got this kind of feeling. Oh, yes, I got a kind of everyday life poem in a good way, in a good sense. This everyday life poetry is something about what is surrounding you, about the current situation in life. That's what I wanted to tell you. Probably you're right. I don't really remember myself. I don't remember any poems devoted to my homeland. This is probably my disadvantage, and I have to correct myself here. And Elbeg may have it here. And this is actually no, doesn't really, is not related to the homeland. It depends where you are and what you think about, what kind of thoughts you have in your hand. Because everything is surrounding can also can have an influence what you write about. Why do we write about our homeland? Because we love our homeland. Why do we write about our native language? Because we want this language to be spoken, to be used. We want our homeland to be known. This is why we're doing it. Okay, thank you very much. And in conclusion, I propose to come back to the modern Buryat poetry. And you were talking about the young people, Elbeg. We have the Amar Sain. And I also really wanted to talk about the current situation in order to understand what everyone does, in order everyone was able to get in deeper into the Buryat literature. Oh, once again, could you also repeat it? In conclusion, I propose to discuss, or I really want you to tell us about the current situation with the Buryat situation. What, who is doing what in order to really get deeper into Buryat literature. Out of young poets, I would like to point out Elena Shambalova. She writes in Russian. Out of my generation, I would like to point out such poet writers writing in Russian as Buryat. This is Ayrat Ayshev, he is the editor-in-chief of the Baikal magazine, and Arkady Perinov, Yuri Izvekov. And these are our poets. And really, I wanted to actually point him out in the Elbeg can also add something here. We also have students at our medical academy, and this is a student writes in Buryat every single day, and you can also read his poems in the social media. There is another female student of this medical academy. Her name is Kerima, and he writes really deep thoughts, and he won actually for one of the poet contests in Buryatia. I haven't heard her for a long time, and I haven't seen this kind of poem writings. Elbeg, can you also tell us how the name, and the last name, the first name, the last names of this young man and the young lady? He said he mentioned them. Could you also probably pronounce it a bit clearer for us? I will have to search in my contacts in order to find these names. And if you don't have it actually at your disposal, we can certainly skip it, but we certainly would like to know these names. And you wanted also to read aloud your poems. And now I propose to finish our midday poet event. It will be really nice to hear your poems. That's actually not my poem. He writes in a very good way. We went to Ivolginsky, that's an Morse and me. The day was cool and windy. Clouds were rushing across the sky. The roof of the Hugin under construction was bustling like an aeroplane. And the state in the bookshop, we went round in a circle. The small drums were spinning after the mortals with terrible force. The big squeaky hurdles were settled by me behind the picket fence, dark moldy spurses swayed. A crowd of tourists gathered near the multicolored palace of sleeping Ilama. We too were adjusting. I showed Morse to the gala. We bought bracelets in a Dugan. I don't remember which contained Morse was black, and I got a black one, and I got a green with orange. The old Dugan was locked like a cupboard, had grown in the ground. We were humbly five, drinking our shun from the teapot, our usual cones placed from such abundance of pure colors. In the paradise of the main Dugan, the wooden our hearts were smiled like the sun illuminated them. The salesman at the shop told me that my bracelet was a woman's bracelet, and I gave it to Anna when we were walking, and she was reading a book. This is the poem. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Anna and Elbeg, that you were with us during this event. And it was a really very meaningful and a very rich in topics. And it was quite interesting for everyone to listen to you to find more about the Burят poetry. I would like to thank you. Thank you much for your invitation. All the best. Have a good day. Bye. See you later. See you later.